Hi there, Adam here with the Losi 22 mid-motor conversion. We're in the final process of suspension, and I've already gone ahead and installed one side of the shocks on the car just to save some time. Now, what I did before taking this video is I had opened up the shocks, removed the limiters both internally and externally, and filled them back up. I put 30 weight in the rear, and I have 35 on the front. So with that being said, let's go ahead and finish this off. So the rear is relatively simple. We're just going to put back the one shim, throw the shock back on, and put this nut on. So that, and then what we're just going to do is we're going to pick the shock up, or side up. That way it gives us room to tighten this down. And we're going to just tighten it down until it gets snugly bottoms out. Don't want to reef it down, just make it snug. And then for the bottom, we are going to grab, I think we make a 14 millimeter. Yeah, 14 millimeter. We're going to then feed the screw through. Got some thread, previous plastic in the thread here. Okay. Feed that through. Take a 2 millimeter shim, feed that in, and I'm going to go into the furthest hole. One, because it's going to make the suspension a little stiffer in the rear, and it'll be more. Again, it have better contact or better trap or suspension move. Being more reactive in the rear, being the further out, closer to the wheel. But also, if you put in the rear hole, the furthest one out, I mean, you actually have slightly a little bit more down travel than if you had it in the internal hole. So that is snugged up. Now the front is going to be a little bit more difficult. Now, in the previous video, I had put 25 millimeter screws in here. I had swapped it out to a 200. The 25 millimeters actually was just too long. I put it into, you can leave it in there, but it was just too long for me. I swapped it out for the 200, and all I had to do was just undo this one screw. I was able to freely twist it around, get to the backside, pulled the 25 out, and put the 20 in. So for this screw, just drop it in. Again, put the nut on, and snug this down. And I'm just going to snug it down, and then just give it a crack backwards, just to make sure we're not binding at all. So now, this is where it's going to get a little bit more difficult. We are now going to actually take that 25 millimeter screw, or you can use the 20 millimeter. But because all I have left is the 25 I'm going to be using here. I had grabbed the washers, because you're going to need to do this. I grabbed the washers from the motor screws. Either you can grab a set of washers yourself, or, if you have a spare in the kit, or you can just use it without on the motor, and you can just use the 2.5 cap head screws and it will work. But you do need this washer for here, because you were no longer using to hold the shock down the normal nutted flange washer, the flange nut. Now, because of this going to be threaded in so far down, I'm going to actually put a drop of oil down that hole to help cut the threads. So it's got a drop of oil to help cut those threads down, because it will be kind of difficult. Be very careful if you're using a power drill to get that threaded all the way down. Once again, we're grabbing our friendly grease. Now we're gonna squeeze the shock to take away the pressure. I'm gonna get this started and I'll finish off the power drill. So I'm squeezing the shock to take away the load on the plastic here. And things are slow. And now I'm just going to finish it off by hand. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of just move that washer around. And when I can't really move that washer around, that's when I'm going to stop. So I can still move it around. And at this point, I can't really move it around. I can still move my shock up and down. So that part there is done. So now you can see that's working. Now the next little thing is we're going to take an O-ring. And you can get there'll be an O-ring supplied, but you can take any kind of O-ring that'll fit. The thicker the diameter, the smaller it is, the more sway bar effect is going to happen. So when I move the suspension here, those nuts move, as you compress it, move further away. But even so, when I push this one, this stays still, and I move this, it gets really far distance. Now if I put that O-ring, so right now you can see if I were to squeeze this side is not moving. Now if I put this on, it starts to pull it away. So now once you start getting like some sort of load on it, it will start pulling it. So you can see when I'm fully compressing it, it starts to pull it back. And then once you again have any load at all, it will fall back with it. Also, the other benefit that happens is that when both compress, it stretches that out and acts a little bit of progressive spring going on. So as it gets bottomed out, it will be a little stiffer. So the last thing we're going to do is we're going to install our set screws for our droop. So I'm just going to find my set screws. Okay. Where do I put the right Allen key? Now for the rear, because it had there's so much plastic in the rear bulkhead for threads. On the carbon fiber, it's a slip. In the front, because I don't have so much room, the carbon fiber is tapped to accommodate for the thread, or to have some thread in there. Set that flying. Luckily landed in my chair. I'm poking through right now. So I'm going to tighten this one side up a good amount. So you can see what I'm talking about. So you can see in the back, you can see how this side is raised up because of the droop screw. So I can adjust this on the fly if I don't drop the screw all the time. You'll see it start to come down. Sorry, it's a little difficult trying to look through the camera to see this. You can see that it's ready to come down already. And you can see right in there is the set screw pushing on the arm. So the same thing kind of happens in the front. There's already a top hole in the carbon fiber, which makes this part a lot easier. So now you can see in the front, let me get this around. You can see the arm. It's now raised up in comparison. And you can see the set screw right there. You can adjust the droop outside the car without having to take your shocks apart. So I'm going to bring this back down. I've got the other droop screws on, and then I'm going to go and put the tires on, and we'll weigh the car and see how much lighter it is compared to the factory. With the servo was at 1593. So I'm pushing on the arm to keep the plastic down while I put the set screw in. Just because if you try to put the set screw through the cover, it might lift the plastic up. So by me pushing the arm down, it's kind of help keeping the plastic down towards the carbon fiber as it threads in, as it cuts its threads. Why are you being difficult? Pull right through. There we go. Okay. So set screws are installed. Let's get these tires on. There you have a mid-motor floating body mount Losi. Alright, so let's get the scale. So we were previously at 1593, and now at 1593 we are down to 1392. So we dropped 200 grams by going to this conversion, as well as gaining tons of features to it. Yeah, literally dropped 202 grams. Well, that ends the instructions on how to build the Losi 22 mid-motor conversion made by myself. I hope you found it all enjoyable and helpful. I do hope that you do have an interest in purchasing this kit, and take a look at Horizon right now, because it is a steal of a price right now for this car. So between the conversion kit and that car, you can have a killer outlaw car or real street car, or just something to have fun with. It's a lot of fun to build, and I can't wait to race it. Thank you. Bye.